For the following video, we are going to cover the double angle formulas for cosine, sine, and tangent. So there are a few different variations of the formulas. for the double angle formula for sine and cosine. This is the variation that I'm going to use. It says sine 2 theta is equal to 2 sine theta cosine theta. So if I want to find sine 2 theta, which I'm about to do here, I'm going to find sine 2 theta, we're going to find cosine 2 theta, and then we're going to find tangent of 2 theta. Starting with sine 2 theta first. All right, we need to plug into this formula. So 2 times sine theta times cosine theta. So for this formula here, 2 times whatever our sine theta is, our cosine theta was actually given to us here. Cosine theta is a negative 5/13. So in order to wrap this problem up, really we just need to plug in sine theta and calculate this to know what this is going to equal here. Well, based off what they've given us here, they've given us that cosine theta is equal to a negative 5/13, and it is in quadrant 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this out a little bit here. So quadrant 3 is this quadrant right over here. So this is going to be our angle here. Now cosine is SOHCAHTOA. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent is this going to be right over here. That's going to be our negative 5 since it is our negative direction. And our hypotenuse is going to be a 13. In order to find our missing side over here, we are going to have to use Pythagorean's theorem. Keep in mind Pythagorean's theorem, a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. When we plug in here, that's going to give me negative 5 squared plus our b squared is what we're solving for, and then c squared here. So when we simplify this here, right, negative 5 squared is 25, 13 squared is 169. If you subtract that 25 on each side, you will be left with b squared is equal to 144. And when you take the square root of each side, b is equal to a 12 here. That means that is the length for this missing side right over here. Also, keep in mind that is going to be a negative 12. Again, you're looking at your signs for your coordinate system, negative for our x, negative for our y over here in quadrant 3. So when we find sine, right, we need to find sine theta. Well, sine is opposite, right, SOHCAHTOA, opposite over hypotenuse is what sine is. So in reference to our angle, opposite is the negative 12 over our hypotenuse of a 13. So they gave us cosine as negative 5/13. We figured out sine, negative 12/13. That means we can plug that in right over here, and we can calculate that sine 2 theta. Well, let's see when we calculate this. Negative times negative is positive. Right, that denominator is going to be a 169 when we do this 13 times 13. Otherwise, 5 times 12 is 60, and 60 times 2 is a 120. That does mean that sine 2 theta is equal to 120 over 169. In order to find cosine of 2 theta, we are going to calculate cosine squared theta minus sine squared theta. So we're going to take our cosine and square that. We're going to take our sine and square that, and then we're going to subtract those two together here. Cosine, again, the problem gave us that. It is a negative 5/13. Sine, again, we calculated that. That is a negative 12/13. We're going to simplify this. So first thing we're going to do, order of operations tells us to square before doing anything else. Negative 5 times negative 5 is a 25. Over 13 times 13 is 169. Minus negative 12 times negative 12 is a 144. Over 13 times 13, which is 169. When we do that subtraction here, when we do 25 minus 144, we are left with a negative 119 over our denominator of a 169. So that means cosine 2 theta, negative 119 over 169. In order to find tangent 2 theta, this is the formula we will be working with here. So in our numerator, 2 times sine, which is a negative 12/13, times cosine, which is negative 5/13. And our denominator, 2 times cosine squared. So we have that negative 5/13 squared minus a 1. When we simplify this, so our numerator here, Let's see, negative times negative makes that positive. 5 times 12 is 60, times 2 is 120 over 169 of this 13 times 13. Over here in our denominator, if we take negative 5 times negative 5, that is 25, times that 2 over here makes that a 50 over 13 times 13 is 169. And we have this minus 1 here. I'm going to write that 1 as a 169 over 169 just to make our math here just a little bit easier on us. So I'm going to take my numerator, which is 120 over 169, and that is going to be divided by, well, when we subtract here, 50 minus 169 is a negative 119 over 169. When we do this division here, we are left with a negative 120 over a 119. Again, take your top fraction. We are dividing, so that's going to be a multiplication times the reciprocal of the denominator here. Again, just throw this in your calculator. Sometimes you're allowed to use a calculator. Sometimes you got to work this by hand. Again, a top fraction divided by a bottom fraction. Keep the first fraction. Change division and multiplication. Flip the second fraction here. 169 cancels with 169 to give us that negative 120 over the 119 as our tangent to theta.